Hi people, welcome to my channel. My name is Deborah and I'm a Nigerian based in Germany. Yes, I'm doing this video in the car and it's going to be a long one. I might have to cut it into different parts, but apparently I stay in the hospital, or should I say I've been here for a while. I have a bed here, so it's been very difficult to get, free time to, prepare for a video and properly execute it. This is like one channel that I got today, and I decided, let me do this video. People would reach out to me and ask, is everything okay? How are you doing? How have you been? It's been a while. And I would just say, I'm fine. Don't worry, I will testify. I will let you know all the things God has done and all I have been through. And I thought to myself, when will I testify? It's been since early in the year, and each time I overcome a trial, I just tell myself, I will testify. I will testify. What am I waiting for to testify? Am I waiting for everything to be all good? Because at the end of the day, if we don't learn to appreciate the present, we would definitely not appreciate what's coming in the future. But I'm here to talk about my pregnancy experience, and I'm going to try to keep it brief by just stating facts and not telling a story that would bore you guys. But it might be long, so I might have to cut it into 2 or 3 different parts. So, like I said, I'm here to talk about my pregnancy experience, and I'm gonna start way back in 2012. Um, but before I start, I'm doing this video for 2 reasons. One, like I mentioned, testifying to God's glory. And two, because I want to be a beacon of hope for someone. I remember those hopeless nights when I would just be searching for a similar story to mine and to just find some hope, to hold on to something, to just believe that my story would change, my story would end up, in a better place, right? Um, but you know, I want to be somebody's hope right now. Sorry, I'm at the car park of the clinic, so it's kind of like the only time I have right now, and bear with me. All right, so starting in 2012. Why? Because in 2012 I was diagnosed with ovarian cyst, and I'm not going to dwell on that story, but fast forward to the operation day, and after the operation I was told by the doctors that I lost one of my ovaries to the operation, and this is because they had to make that decision to save my second ovary. So after they told me that they took out one of my ovaries, I kind of started feeling incomplete as a woman. And I don't know if it's every woman's dream, but most women would want to be a mother. And the ovary is a very important part of what makes you a mother. Like, it releases the eggs that enables you to conceive and get pregnant. But the fact that I had one ovary, I'd always felt in my heart that it would take me some time to get pregnant. But, well, that is for 2012. So I got married in 2021, and I and my husband, we lived miles apart. He lived here in Germany and I lived in Nigeria. However, he would definitely visit me regularly and spend weeks with me. And but we decided as a couple that we weren't ready to get pregnant until we lived together. And I think that was one of the best decisions we ever made. And I'm going to tell you why later. After I got married in 2021, it took me about 2 years plus to get my visa. And this is because I was coming with the family reunion visa that would be a long stay, and that naturally just takes like a long time before you get a visa interview date. So during that period, my husband and I would spend time together here in back then in Nigeria when he would visit and so on, but we weren't ready to have kids. Fast forward to 2023 November, when my husband came, and I think he spent about 6 weeks there with me. That was the time we decided, okay, I think we should start trying to get pregnant, because I had already done my interview as at September of that year. That's last year. So we kind of knew that if all things worked fine, I would be getting my visa in the following year, and very soon at that. So we decided to start, the pregnancy journey, or should I say, to get pregnant in November. But at the end of his trip in 6 weeks, I wasn't pregnant. My period came November. He left in December, and my period still came in December. And then finally, I got my visa in January, and my trip was scheduled for the 25th of January. And I left, and he came back around, I think, 23rd or 22nd to pick me up. So we would travel together. And I saw my period in January. February, I saw my period. And you know how it is for a woman who is like, okay, as long as you're trying, you just expect that it's going to happen. But it wasn't coming. But I wouldn't say like it wasn't coming, because guess what? March came and I did not see my period. But I didn't want to get super excited about that because I wasn't sure if it was a pregnancy. Although I started feeling some, symptoms, like I started having like my nose sensitivity to smell. A lot of things were happening. I told my husband that I feel sick and I haven't seen my period, and he was like, you're pregnant. You know how it is when you don't expect something, but when it happens, you're very happy, because if you have so much expectations and it doesn't happen, you get really disappointed about that thing. And that's why I was just like living in denial, like, no, I'm not pregnant. Let's get the test kit first before we decide if it's pregnancy oder nicht. Oder nicht is or not in German. All right. So anyways, fast forward to, I think, March 22nd, we decided to get a kit. And this is because my cycle was already like extending to 30 something days. I said, let me just wait out the month. But the month did not end before I got the kit. Why did I get the kit? I've been tracking my period since 2012, after the operation. Because before the operation, I was always having irregular periods. I was having very terrible periods, whereby sometimes I'll miss my period for a month, sometimes even two. And when it comes back, I would have a very long and disturbing and disgusting kind of flow. And it would be so horrible for me. There was nothing palatable about that experience, right? But after the operation, thankfully and thank God, everything kind of settled in for me. 5 days regular, no month was missing. So I knew that if I was missing my period while tracking it, I knew when my period was supposed to be coming. It would just maybe be the exact day, or maybe a day after or a day before, based on my tracking app. Um March came, the time that I was supposed to say the period wasn't coming. So I decided, okay, let's get this kit once and for all. Yes, I'm feeling sick already. So how about we just like get this kit and then get tested? What would it hurt to do that test? So I woke up very early. I think it was 5 a.m. because they said your first pee in the morning, you could use that to check if you're pregnant. So I woke up very early. I went to the bathroom. I checked, and yes, I was pregnant. And just a few minutes into me checking, my husband had woken up also and came to the bathroom, and I told him it's positive, I'm pregnant. And we just um appreciated all that's happened so far, because before then I was telling my husband that I felt that it was going to be a difficult process for me to get pregnant. I'd already told him about the one ovary thing before we got married, and he felt like one ovary is enough. And yes, biologically, one ovary does not stop you from getting pregnant. You release eggs, and the human body will just make it possible that one ovary can cover for, you know, the second one missing, right? But I kind of felt like if people with two ovaries sometimes don't get pregnant, how about you with one ovary and you've even had a cyst? What if something was damaged in the other ovary? Things like that. And my husband had said, even if it came to us adopting, that we would. I'm giving this background story because I just want to, get my facts right and just let you guys know why I'm testifying, to the glory of God. And I think it was April, either April or March. I can't remember the exact date, but I'm going to attach a screenshot to that conversation here, where I told my family that I had a dream, and in that dream, I gave birth to twins, and it felt so realistic. Honestly, I am not a dreamer. I do not see visions or dream dreams or have revelations. I am just, in fact, most of the times when I dream, I can't remember them in the morning. But this time I did remember my dream, and I told my husband, I told my family, and fast forward to my ultrasound was April. We couldn't secure an appointment until April during the ultrasound. I'm trying to cut everything short, short, short. So the lady who was doing the ultrasound just asked me like, "How many were you expecting?" And I said, "I don't get your question. I don't understand your question." Thankfully, she speaks English, so she said, "I can see two babies," and I'm like, "Me, two babies? From where? How come?" And she asked, "Did I do an IVF?" And I said, "No, it was natural. This is your first pregnancy?" "Yes, my first pregnancy," and so on and so forth. So that was like how that ultrasound went. And when I told my family that I had two, they were so excited. And I'm like, okay, God. But I don't know what to call this, but I had this intuition. I don't know why. I just had this intuition. I'm not going to say that it's something that I wanted, but just this intuition that I needed to be very prayerful during this period, because they call multiple baby pregnancies, they call them high risk pregnancies. So aside from that, I just felt like I needed to be very prayerful. I don't want to say that I felt like something was going to go wrong, but I was praying about it, and I was literally a sick pregnant woman. A very sick pregnant woman. Guess what? In my 15th week, my first ultrasound was the time I went for the first appointment with my doctor, my gynecologist, and that was my she said I was 11-week pregnant. So in the 15th week already, something went wrong. I woke up that morning and I couldn't move. I couldn't just move. I was in so much pain. I started feeling this pain in my belly, right? And it was so unbearable. I just had to start calling my husband's name, and he came. I told him I couldn't move. I was in so much pain. So there we go. Ambulance, called an ambulance. They came to the room to literally lift me up. Two guys and I think one lady came that morning. They came in and took me in the ambulance, and we got there. They checked me up. The doctors checked me up immediately, and to my surprise, my very big surprise, they said I had fibroids. Excuse me. Fibroids, like ovarian cyst, I know. Fibroids, from where to where? When did me and you have any, interaction? Like, why I'm saying this is because ever since that operation in the past, I made it a point of, intentionality that I would always check my abdomen. I do abdominal scans every year, sometimes more than once in a year, to ensure that everything is good. And they would get it checked, and the only thing they would ask me is, "What happened to your ovary? I can only see one." I'm like, "Yeah, I lost one of my ovaries." There was nothing, no sign of fibroids. The fibroids, like two of them, were so bad. They gave me a lot of pain, and it was so bad I couldn't move even after like the check, and then they admitted me for like 5 days, and I would have to wait for my husband to come so he can lift me up to go to the bathroom to bath. That's how bad it was. I couldn't move myself. But after some days, they had to, how it is with pain relievers and pregnancy. You have to be very careful what kind of medication you are taking in, and so that it doesn't affect the health of your babies. So I had decided no pain relievers while pregnant, but guess what? I couldn't avoid it this time. So, fast forward to after that, I got discharged after 5 days. I went home, and what they told me was I should do my best to carry the babies for at least 30 weeks, or best 34 weeks. Now, my pregnancy had a lot of downsides. I mean, pregnancy, if you ask me to define it, it would be a miracle. I would call it a miracle. And this is because from the moment of conception to the womb's ability to expand, to everything that's happening in the womb, the fetus is growing. It's just like a miracle. But the truth is, pregnancy is hard. And I think we need to talk about how hard pregnancy is, because some might have it easier, but for others, it might be, you know, life threatening. Some lose their lives before or after delivery. It's just a very sensitive moment for a woman. And the very thing a woman needs in that period is support, a supportive partner at least. Then we can go to a supportive community at most. I'm talking too much. Let me stick to my storyline. So, after that fibroid brouhaha, I would always be at home and experience sharp pains. Thankfully, I had communicated with my managers and let them know that this is what I was going through. So there will be times when I'll be like, I need to be in an appointment, or I'm feeling sick, or I can't make it to so and so meetings. They would be so understanding. And I want to give a shout out. If you ever watch this video, shout out to you, Cynthia. Shout out to you, Ayole. Shout out to my very own big boss, Liz. I love you so much, Liz. And maybe not related, but shout out to Uche and Adu. I love you. Um, yeah. Then let me just continue. Throughout my pregnancy, I was vomiting very badly. I couldn't eat. I started looking like a sick person. And though at times I'll post a video or a picture of myself, and someone will ask me, is everything okay? You have lost weight. Are you on a diet? Are you okay? I wasn't okay. I was far from okay. I was sick. I was a sick pregnant woman. But I wouldn't say my pregnancy didn't have its good days. Yeah, there were good days. There were fun. There were laughter. And it was basically because of I had a supportive partner. He was extraordinarily supportive. Thank you, baby. I appreciate you for your support. So I also had issues with my teeth, and they say they have a saying here in Germany that one pregnancy equals to one tooth. You lose one tooth when you're pregnant, and I didn't think it was a serious thing until it happened to me. I didn't lose a teeth though, but I was having swollen gums. They literally had to tear my gum to clean it inside because my gums became very sensitive and weak. You're brushing morning, you're brushing evening, you're flossing, you're doing everything possible to maintain the oral hygiene that is required of you. Like I was crying one time when I went to the doctor and they cleaned my teeth. They tore the gum. Then, it was so painful. I cried all day. My husband had to get me some ice blocks I put in my mouth. And then after the whole pain subsided, I was laughing at myself like, what? I've been through a lot during this pregnancy. But I thought I had gone through the most when the fibroids came until my 22nd week. So 22nd week, 4 days, was when I went into labor. And that day was a normal work day for me. I remember anchoring the client's meeting that evening. It was a Wednesday, 17th of July. Sorry, it was 18th. It was 17th of July, yes. And I was rushed to the hospital later that evening when I started having some really bad pains. I thought it was like just maybe the usual fibroid pain that would come and go, because the fibroid pain would come. I would literally have to sit down. There's a chair we had to get that would just let me relax back. And my husband would get me some one packs, and then he would just stand beside me to keep heating up the one packs till I felt better. And then he would give me like one tablet of pain reliever. So that's how we were coping with that experience. And then we thought, okay, maybe this is one of those days. I said, let me relax. I went to the room, I laid down. So it was too much. I said, okay, let me go to the bathroom, try and see if I will poo, because I felt like a pressure coming down. right? So I'm like, okay. And then something just whoosh in the bathroom, like whoosh in the toilet. And I got up to see blood. After that blood came out in the toilet, I had to call my husband, baby. He was around. So I called him to come to the bathroom to come and see that I had never seen this type of blood before during my pregnancy. So it was something to be worried about. He was like, should we go to the hospital? I'm like, no, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Because I started thinking of the time I was admitted for the fibroids and like staying there for some days. I'm like, I don't want to go, Joe. Like, I'll be fine. He said, come on, let's go. You see, you're seeing blood, you're saying that you don't want to go, and you're in pains. Anyways, so we uh we drove to the hospital, and when we got there, they asked me to sit down, and the doctor there checked me, and she said my babies are trying to come out, and that was on the 22nd week. I think that was 22nd week for 3 days actually, because that's the Wednesday. Then the fourth day was on the 18th of July, the third day. Apparently, the babies are trying to come out, and when she put her hand to check, they have to check if you're dilated. So when she put her hand to check, a sacky kind of thing bulged out of me, and they had to carry me to the bed so I don't move by myself. So they said, let's watch what your body does. That night was one of the worst days of my life. I felt all sorts of pains, from emotional pain to physical pain to fear to worry and concern. It was a very long night for me. So let me say we got to the hospital around 8 or 9 p.m. that day. I was told to just stay still and watch what my body does. In that process of waiting, I was also recording the contraction, the time that it would come, and the time in between before the next contraction starts, and how long the contraction itself would last. And my contractions were lasting for, say, about 3 to 4 minutes or five. And then the time in between that day was about 15 to 10 minutes. That's like on Wednesday. And in that period, they would get doctors who would come in to talk to me and my husband to advise us on the next steps. So Wednesday midnight came. Suddenly, I had to move my body a bit, and the sac went in, and some water broke. And that was the sac of my first baby. The water broke. So, when the water broke, they said, okay, let's still watch what your body does. So they wanted to just watch how dilated I would get so that if I needed to push, I would push. So, but before then, they had to make a quick decision on what to do. You were very early, and in fact, 22 weeks, 4 days was one of the earliest they have had so far in a long while. I needed to make a decision. I and my husband had to make a decision that there are two things they can do. The first thing is not to do anything to me to prepare me for the delivery. So just watch the babies, watch how my body reacts. Let baby one that has the sac already broken and wants to come out, let baby one come out. Then for baby two, we watch and see what happens to baby two. Will baby two um stay in the womb and still grow? Or will baby two also want to come out? Wearing sure. So they said, let's just watch what your body does. That's option one. And then the second is that they do a CS, emergency CS, but before then, they prepare my babies for coming out, which is they give them some medication through me to ensure that their lungs get prepared for the outside world because they were really small, not properly developed at that age, like their organs were not properly developed at that age. So that's like the second decision. So, however, we're also informed that having a baby this early comes with very high risks, and this includes disabilities for the children, all sorts of disabilities, maybe death for them because babies that early, babies that come that early have say 18% or even less chances of survival. They said my babies might last for just 3 days after delivery if I decide to still save them. And we said, okay, option one, I push baby one out and we save him. Baby two decides to stay, he stays for maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, who knows. Um, yeah, so we just wanted to give the chance to baby two to see if he would stay longer and maybe survive better. And they said, okay, that's a good plan. So they gave me some medication that would help reduce the contractions a bit so that the medication for the lungs would work for some time. And that was me. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. So hey guys, unfortunately the battery ran out. So I'm just going to round off on this part and maybe come back sometime later to talk about, what has happened so far from the labor. But let me just round off on the labor part. So making that decision to save the two babies, whereby we give baby two a chance to stay in the womb so I can push out baby one, was what we went with. And they kept on asking us if we were sure because they would naturally just want you to let the babies go at that age because they were too tiny. And we said if they had, even if it was 1% chance of survival, then we wanted to give it to them. So that was it for us. And the contractions became so crazy. The medication they had given me to reduce the contractions a bit began to wear out. So by the time it wore out, the contractions became intense. The timing in between contractions became very, very, short, and I was having very bad contractions. Um, Anyways, I became 5 centimeters dilated. Taken to the labor ward, I was going above 100% on the contraction level. And then it was time for me to like finally start pushing. But they said, okay, let's check the baby's position. They checked the babies and baby one was breached. Okay, we needed to do an emergency CS because of the baby is breached. And I'm like, okay. Then the epidural, I hate injections. My body started to shake. Like they gave me the epidural and I was literally like this. Like once I laid down on the bed and they were like there's a curtain in between that's blinding you from the surgeons, and my husband was right here by my left side, and then there's an anesthesia guy at the back here talking to me in English. It's Deutschland, so Deutschland they speak Deutsch, so they don't speak English. Thankfully I had someone who would speak English to me. So when the whole tearing of my body started, I started asking myself which one was worse, the contractions or the operation, the CS, because I could literally feel everything they were doing, not the pain, but I could feel everything they were doing, the tugging, the pushing, the pulling, oh my God. There's no easy way. The pushing, the CS, there is no easy way around it. Anyways, I'm going to stop at the fact that my babies were born at 22 weeks and 4 days old on Thursday midnight, and my birthday was on the 21st of July. So I was at a hospital during my birthday, and I was in a lot of headache and pain. I think these days when I try to even cry or get emotional, the tears fail to come because I have cried a lot this year. And I kept asking myself, why me? I don't understand. The doctor said there's nothing I could have done differently. It wasn't my fault. the babies wanted to come out and they wanted to come out. And that was when I had to go and do some research what is happening. And I'm so grateful to those women out there who put out their stories to encourage people like me, because it did encourage me. And I saw one who was born twins. They were born on the 21st, I think 21 weeks, I guess, 21 weeks and some days. So they survived. And I mean, they were like 2 years old. They were in the Guinness Book of Record. I think they're Indians or something. And it really encouraged me. And you would see my YouTube history watching a lot of preemies. See, there's preemies, that's premature babies, and then there's micro preemies. I never knew there were micro preemies. I never knew there were babies who were born so tiny until it happened to me. And I didn't have any time to rest. Like, oh, you've had your CS, you have to go and rest for some days and recover. No, I was in the hospital and I've been in the hospital. This is currently December 12th. Yes, 12/12. That's today's date. I'm doing this video. My babies have been here for 100 and something days. In fact, the story will continue later. I will give you guys, a breakdown of how everything turned out after the delivery. But what is my testimony here? First of all, I didn't know that I was going to get pregnant so fast without having to do any medical, like going to get help from the doctor, because I felt like I had one ovary, so I felt limited. But God surprised me there. He blessed me with twins. You see, because God has blessed you, it doesn't mean that the journey is going to be easy. Nobody promised the journey was going to be easy. But I don't believe He brought these blessings to me to curse me. I don't believe He brought these blessings to me to make mockery of me. No. I will look back 2 years from now, 5 years from now, and I will see God's hand in it. I am seeing God's hand in it even as at now, because my babies were given 3 days to survive. The next clip, I will talk about what has happened since delivery. What happened after the delivery, what we had to do, how we had to come to the hospital to stay, to kangaroo and carry the babies, and so on and so forth, the diagnosis, the operations. I didn't feel like a mother after July. I didn't feel like a mother. I couldn't wait to breastfeed my babies. I couldn't wait to hear the cries of my babies. There is nothing you cannot do. Protocol change. There is nothing you cannot do. Jehovah overdo. I have tasted of your love. I have seen your mighty works. Mountain mover, Jehovah. Ezebube, see how far you brought me. Ezebube, I'm so glad you found me worthy. Oh, I can see, I can tell, and I know it's your grace. All my days, yes, and your grace. Ezebube, see how far you brought me. Ezebube, I'm so glad you found me. I went offline, WhatsApp, for a long time, especially since that Labor Day. I said I wanted to be offline and focus on my reality. I left the distractions. I wasn't on Instagram. I wasn't on WhatsApp for so long. And even now, I'm not on WhatsApp till I'm ready for WhatsApp, because there's a lot of people that I just need to, catch up on. But for now, I just needed that space, that silence, that peace of mind to focus, to pray, to give all of me to my babies. It's a fat boy. Even baby. Even baby.
Diffuse.
Oh, look at that boy. Oh, it's okay, baby. Final shout out to Liz again. Thank you so much for helping me secure the leave for from July till the duration you were able to get from me. I am so grateful for you. Thank you so much for being an amazing boss. And anyways, I'm gonna stop here for now. But before I also go, shout out to my siblings, Lydia, Joel, Zoe, my mom. Thank you so much. Mom is here in Germany also. We are all putting our best foot forward to do our best for each other and for my babies. See you in the next video. Hopefully soon and not later. Maybe tomorrow I'll just try and do another video here in the car, because in the hospital there's no silence, no no privacy. I'm here 24/7. Well, that's my life right now. But I can manage a smile, I can manage a laughter, I can manage to feel so happy, because yeah, I'm a mom. My babies are Kian and Evan.
Before I knew my name, before I drew a breath, he was making ways for me. Now and every day,
I love them. I love them so much. Alright then, let's talk later and cheers. Bye.
When my heart is full of doubt, feels like faith is running out, I've come to